Rain hammered the bridge like nails driven into steel. 30 feet below, the river churned black and hungry. A woman stood at the railing, purse abandoned on wet concrete, one leg already lifted over the edge. Her hair was plastered to her face. She wasn't crying. That was the worst part. She looked like someone who had finished crying a long time ago. Ethan Brooks hit the brakes so hard his tires screamed. He didn't have a plan. He had a daughter at home waiting for him, a past that haunted him, and maybe 60 seconds before she let go. If this story moves you, please hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far my story has traveled. Stay with me until the very end. What happens on this bridge changes everything. The storm came out of nowhere. One minute, Ethan Brooks was driving home from a 12-hour shift at the warehouse, eyes burning, the radio tuned low to some classic rock station that kept skipping. The next minute, the sky cracked open and rain came down like someone had punched a hole in the clouds. His windshield wipers couldn't keep up. The road blurred into streaks of red brake lights and yellow reflectors that seemed to float in the dark. He should have pulled over. Any sensible person would have pulled over. But Maddie was at home with Mrs. Alvarez, the neighbor who watched her 3 nights a week, and Mrs. Alvarez had arthritis and 2 cats and a husband on dialysis, and Ethan had already stayed 2 hours past his shift because Rick called in sick again. He was supposed to be home by 11. It was almost midnight. He eased off the gas and leaned forward over the steering wheel. His old Ford Ranger rattled every time the wind hit it broadside. The heater worked when it felt like it. Tonight, it did not feel like it. "Come on, baby," he muttered to the truck, which had been his father's and which he had driven since he was 17. "Just get us home." The bridge appeared out of the rain like a gray ghost. It was a small bridge, 2 lanes. Nothing dramatic. It crossed the Millbrook River on the edge of town, and Ethan had driven across it maybe 4,000 times in his life. He knew every pothole. He knew which lamp had been out since the summer Maddie was born. He knew that kids used to fish off the east side until the city put up a fence, and then they fished off the east side anyway because kids don't care about fences. What he did not know, what he could not have known, was that a woman would be standing on the other side of that fence. He saw her for maybe half a second before his headlights swept past. She was not moving. She was not waving for help. She was just standing there, hands on the top rail, looking down at the water. Something inside him went very still. He had seen that stillness before. 17 years ago. His brother Danny, sitting on the edge of the roof of their parents' garage, drunk out of his mind, feet dangling over the gutter. Danny had not jumped. Danny had lived another 6 years after that night, but Ethan had never forgotten the stillness, the way a person could be alive and already gone at the same time. He hit the brakes. The truck slid. He corrected. He pulled onto the narrow shoulder on the far side of the bridge, threw it into park, and killed the engine. The rain was so loud it sounded like someone pouring gravel on the roof. He sat there for 3 seconds. 3 seconds, arguing with himself. She was probably fine. She was probably just a woman who had pulled over to look at the water. People did that. People stopped on bridges all the time. He had a daughter at home. He had work in the morning. He was exhausted. He was not a therapist. He was not a cop. He had no business walking into whatever was happening over there. He had no business walking away either. He opened the door. The rain hit him like a slap. He was soaked before his boots touched the pavement. He didn't bother with the flashers. He didn't bother with his jacket, which was already wet through anyway. He just walked. She did not turn when he approached. She had one hand on the top of the railing and the other hanging at her side. Her purse was on the ground near her feet, a cheap brown thing with the strap frayed. She was wearing a thin gray coat, the kind that was not meant for weather, and jeans and sneakers that had once been white. Ethan stopped about 15 feet away. He did not know what to say. He had driven all the way across the bridge thinking about what to say, and he had come up with nothing. All the things that popped into his head sounded stupid. "Ma'am, are you okay?" She was obviously not okay. "Please step back from the edge." She was going to laugh at that, if she was capable of laughing, which she didn't look like she was. So he said the first true thing that came out of his mouth. "It's really coming down, huh?" She did not answer. She did not turn. But her shoulders moved just slightly, like she had registered another human voice and was deciding whether or not to let it exist. "I saw you from the road," he said. He kept his voice low. He did not move closer. "I wasn't sure if you needed help." I pulled over. Still nothing. My name's Ethan, he said. I live about 10 minutes from here. I just got off work. The rain kept coming down. A car passed behind him on the bridge, slowed a little, then kept going. Ethan did not blame the driver. He would have kept going too most nights. He was not a man who stopped. He was a man who kept his head down and did his job and went home. That was the deal he had made with the world after Danny died. Keep moving. Don't look too closely at anyone, especially not yourself. But here he was. I don't know your name, he said. You don't have to tell me. I just figured I'd say mine in case, in case you wanted somebody to know it. Her head turned. Not all the way. Just enough that he could see the line of her jaw, the wet strands of hair stuck to her cheek. She was younger than he'd thought from a distance. Late 20s, maybe. Her eyes, when they flickered toward him, were the color of wet slate and completely empty. You should go home, she said. Her voice was flat. Not angry, not sad. Just flat, like a page that had been erased too many times. Probably, Ethan said. He stayed where he was. I'm serious. She turned a little more. Her hand tightened on the rail. You don't want to be here. You're probably right. Then go. I can't. Why not? He thought about it. He thought about Maddie, asleep in her room with the nightlight shaped like a rabbit. He thought about his brother on the roof. He thought about how long it had been since he'd said anything honest out loud to a stranger or to anyone. Because I had a brother, he said, and he looked like you, and I wasn't there. She didn't say anything. The rain eased up, just a little. Not enough to matter. The river below them hissed and churned. Somewhere far off, a siren wailed once and went quiet. He didn't jump, Ethan said. That night, he went back inside. But he died 6 years later anyway. Different way. And I've spent every day since wondering if I could have said something on that roof that would have changed anything. He swallowed. Probably not. Probably nothing changes anything. But I'm not going to drive past you. I don't have it in me. She looked at him fully now. Her face was a mess. Mascara running, mouth trembling in a way she was clearly trying to stop. She looked like a woman who had been holding something for a very long time and did not have the strength to hold it one more minute. I'm not your brother, she said. I know. You don't know me. I know. Then why? I don't have a good answer, he said. I'm tired. I've been working since noon. I've got a 7-year-old at home who thinks I walk on water and I can barely keep the lights on. I'm not a hero, lady. I'm a guy in a wet shirt. He exhaled. I just didn't want you to do it alone. If you were going to do it, that's all. She stared at him. Her hand was still on the rail. Lena, she said after a long moment. My name is Lena. Hi, Lena. Hi. Neither of them moved. A truck went past on the bridge behind them, and the spray from its tires hit Ethan across the back. He didn't flinch. He kept his eyes on her face. Can you come back over the fence? He asked. He kept his voice soft. Just come over. You don't have to talk. You don't have to explain. We can just stand here. I can't. Why not? Her mouth twisted. Because if I come over the fence, I have to keep being me. And I don't know how to keep being me. There it was. The whole thing. Right out in the open, in the rain, between two strangers on a bridge. Ethan took one step closer, slow. He kept his hands where she could see them. I know that feeling, he said. I don't have a fix for it. I wish I did. But I can tell you one thing, and it's the only true thing I know. You don't figure out how to keep being you on a night like this. You figure it out on a Tuesday, at like 2 in the afternoon, when nothing's happening and the sun's out and you're just doing dishes. That's where it happens, not here. She let out a sound that was almost a laugh. Almost. Dishes, she said. Dishes. You're selling me on dishes. I'm selling you on Tuesday. Dishes are incidental. She closed her eyes. For a second he thought he had lost her. For a second he thought she was going to lean forward, and he was going to have to lunge, and he was not going to be fast enough, and he was going to have to live the rest of his life knowing he had tried. Then she said, I can't get back over. My leg's asleep. I've been standing here too long. Okay, Ethan said. His heart was pounding so hard he was sure she could hear it over the rain. Okay. I'm going to come to you. I'm not going to grab you. I'm just going to come close enough to help. Is that all right? Yes. He walked to the fence. He did not rush. He did not look down at the water because he did not want to think about the water. He put both hands on the top rail a few feet from hers, and he waited. Give me your hand, he said, the one that's not holding the rail. She did. Her fingers were ice. Her nails were bitten down to almost nothing. There was a thin white scar across the back of her hand that he noticed and then made himself stop noticing. On 3, he said. You swing your leg over, I hold you steady. 1. Ethan. 2. If I fall, you're not going to fall. 3. She swung her leg over the rail. She was unsteady, and her foot slipped on the wet concrete on the walkway side of the fence, and for one terrible second, her weight pulled against his grip. He braced, he pulled, and she came down against his chest hard enough to knock the breath out of both of them. They stood there in the rain. She was shaking, not crying, just shaking, the way a person shakes when their body finally remembers that it has been cold for hours. Okay, Ethan said. His voice came out rough. Okay, you're okay. I'm not, she said into his shoulder. I know. I meant you're off the rail. That's it. That's all I meant. She laughed. It was a real laugh this time, short and startled, and it made his chest do something strange. He stepped back. He kept one hand on her elbow in case her leg really was asleep, but otherwise he gave her space. My truck's right there, he said. Heater works when it wants to. I've got a blanket behind the seat my daughter uses. You want to sit in it for a minute? I don't know you. You know my name. That's not the same thing. No, he agreed. It's not. She looked at the truck. She looked at him. She looked at her purse, still sitting by the fence. I'm not getting in a car with you, she said. Okay. I'm serious. I believe you. I'm not. She pushed wet hair out of her face. Her hand was still shaking. I don't want you to think I'm... Lena. He waited until she looked at him. I'm not going to kidnap you. I'm not going to give you a pep talk. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to get my blanket out of the truck and I'm going to bring it here. We can sit on the curb. We can stand. I don't care. I just don't want you to freeze while we figure out the next 20 minutes. She stared at him for a long time. Okay, she said. He went to the truck. He moved fast, not because he thought she'd run, but because he thought she might change her mind and sit down in the rain and disappear inside herself again. He grabbed the blanket from behind the passenger seat. It was a pink plaid thing Maddie had picked out at Target when she was 5 because it looked like a picnic, and it was covered in goldfish cracker crumbs, and he had never been happier to see it. When he came back, Lana was sitting on the concrete walkway with her back against the fence. Her knees were pulled up. Her purse was in her lap. He sat down next to her, maybe 2 feet away, and draped the blanket across her shoulders. She pulled it tight around herself. Thanks, she said. Yeah. They sat. The rain kept falling. It was lighter now, almost a drizzle. A car passed, then another. Nobody slowed. Nobody would ever know 2 people had been sitting there. That was the thing about bridges at midnight. The whole world just kept going. You said you have a daughter, Lena said. Yeah, Maddie. She's 7. Where's her mom? Ethan exhaled. The question was less a question and more a way to keep talking. She left, he said. When Maddie was 2. She wasn't well. I don't blame her. Some people can't do what needs to be done. And I think she knew that about herself. And I think leaving was probably the best thing she ever did for our kid, even if it was the worst thing she ever did to her. That's a complicated thing to say. Yeah, well, it's been a complicated 6 years. Lena almost smiled. Do you love her? She asked. Your daughter. More than anything. More than yourself? That's not a hard one. She turned her face toward him. The rain had slowed enough that he could see her properly now. Her eyes were not empty anymore. They were exhausted and wet and scared. But they were there. I lost a job, she said, 3 months ago. That's not the whole thing. But that's how it started. Okay. I was in marketing, brand strategy. I had a team. I had like a whole life. I worked on campaigns you've seen, shampoo commercials, a soda thing, one Christmas. I was good at it. I was really good at it. I believe you. And then a man I worked with, a man I trusted, a man I... She stopped. She looked out at the rain. It doesn't matter. The details don't matter. He took something that was mine, and he made it look like I took something that was his, and by the time I understood what was happening, I was already done. I didn't lose the job because I did something wrong. I lost it because the story got there before I did. I'm sorry. And then my apartment, and then my savings, and then my... Her voice caught. My mom died in February, before all of this. And I don't have anyone. And I've been applying to jobs for 3 months, and I can't even get to an interview because my name's radioactive now. And tonight I looked in my bank account and I thought, I can't do another week of this. I can't do another day. And I walked out of my studio and I kept walking, and I got here and I didn't know where else to go. Ethan was quiet for a long time. You got here, he said finally, and then I got here. Yeah, that's something. I don't know what that is. Me either. She laughed again, a wet, tired laugh. She pulled the blanket tighter. Your blanket smells like crackers, she said. I know. I'm going to keep sitting here for a little while, if that's okay. It's okay. And then I don't know what happens. Me either. They sat on the concrete and watched the rain thin out into mist. The streetlights made everything look softer than it was. Ethan thought about his daughter, asleep, safe, and he thought about his brother, who had not been saved. And he thought about the very small window of time in which a person on a bridge stopped being a person on a bridge and became a person on a curb with a pink blanket. I'm going to call my neighbor, he said quietly, the woman who's watching my daughter, just to tell her I'm running late. She worries. Go ahead. He pulled out his phone. The screen was wet. He had to wipe it against the inside of his shirt before it would register his face. He called Mrs. Alvarez. She answered on the second ring because Mrs. Alvarez always answered on the second ring. Ethan, mijo, are you all right? I'm fine. I got held up. I'll be there in maybe an hour, hour and a half. An hour? Is Maddie okay? She's asleep. She had pasta. I'm going to fall asleep in your chair. I'm sorry, Rosa. Just stay. I'll pay you for tomorrow, too. There was a pause on the line. Mrs. Alvarez had known him since he moved into the duplex next door. She had known his daughter since his daughter was a pink, screaming bundle in his arms. Is someone hurt? She said. Not exactly. Are you hurt? No. Do what you need to do, mijo. I'll be here. He hung up. He put the phone back in his pocket. Lena was watching him. She sounds nice, Lena said. She's the reason my kid's alive, Ethan said. Pretty much. You keep saying things like that. Like what? Like the reason my kid's alive. Like she made me alive. You love her a lot. Yeah. You don't talk about yourself. There's not a lot to talk about. I don't believe that. He shrugged. He did not answer. The rain stopped. Not gradually. All at once, the way it had started. The bridge was suddenly just a bridge, and the river was just a river, and the cars that passed were just cars. The world came back. Lena sat up a little straighter. I don't have anywhere to go tonight, she said. I mean, I have my studio, but I don't want to go back to it. I don't think I can be alone tonight. I'm saying that out loud because I don't know how else to say it, and I need to hear myself say it. Okay, but I also cannot go home with you. I'm not going to do that. I don't know you. I wasn't going to offer. You weren't? No, Lena. Jesus, I have a 7-year-old. She laughed, a real one this time. It ended in something almost like a hiccup. Is there anyone you can call? He asked. Anyone at all? A friend, a cousin, a coworker from before? No. Nobody. Nobody who'd pick up at 1 in the morning. He thought about it. He could feel the tiredness now, all the way down in his bones. He had worked 12 hours. He had driven across a bridge. He had talked a stranger off a railing. He was a regular guy with a regular life, and the regular life was asleep at home eating crackers, and he had no idea what he was supposed to do with the woman on the curb. There's a diner, he said, about 2 miles from here. It's open all night. Marjorie's. You know it? No. It's not fancy, but the lights are bright and the coffee's free after the first cup. I'm going to drive there and get some food in me before I go home, or I'm going to fall asleep at the wheel and end up in that same river. You're welcome to come. Separate cars if you've got one. Separate booths if you want. I just don't think either of us should be alone for the next hour. She looked at him for a long moment. I don't have a car, she said. I walked here. Then ride with me. Or don't. But I'm going to Marjorie's either way. How far is 2 miles? 10 minutes in weather like this. She looked down at her hands. She looked at the river. She looked at the blanket around her shoulders and at the bridge and at him. "Okay," she said. "I'll come. Marjorie's." "Marjorie's?" He stood up, his knees cracked. He held out a hand and she took it and she let him pull her up. Her legs wobbled. She leaned against him for a second, then caught her balance and let go. "My purse," she said. "Got it." He picked up her purse and handed it to her. They walked to the truck together, slow, not touching. He held the passenger door open and she got in. He shut it carefully, like she was something that could break, and then he went around to the driver's side. The truck started on the second try. The heater, which had refused to work for weeks, coughed on. Warm air pushed into the cab like a small miracle. "Your heater works," she said. "Sometimes." "You have good timing." "I try." He pulled out onto the bridge. He drove slow. He did not look at the railing as they passed it. She did not either. They drove in silence for a minute, then another. The streetlights flickered past. The windshield wipers squeaked against a window that was no longer wet. "Ethan," she said. "Yeah. Thanks for stopping." He did not know what to say to that. He wasn't sure there was anything to say to that. He kept his eyes on the road. "Yeah," he said finally. "Yeah, Lena. Anytime." They drove past the last lamp on the bridge and out onto the road beyond it. Two strangers in a rattling old truck, with a pink plaid blanket between them and a long night ahead and no idea yet what any of it meant. The diner's sign glowed yellow in the distance, through the mist, a small ordinary thing against the dark. Ethan drove toward it. Lena watched it grow closer through the fogged-up passenger window, and for the first time in a long time, she did not think about what happened next. She just watched the light. Marjorie sat on the corner of 4th and Vine, squat and ugly and beautifully lit, with a neon sign in the window that had buzzed continuously since 1987. Ethan parked in the gravel lot. 3 other cars were there, all of them belonging to people who had nowhere better to be at 1 in the morning. A trucker's rig idled at the edge of the lot. Somewhere, a dog was barking at nothing. He killed the engine. The heater wheezed to a stop. Lena did not move. "You good?" he asked. "I'm cold." "The diner's warmer than the truck." "I know." She did not move. He waited. He did not rush her. He understood, in a way that surprised him a little, that the small act of opening a car door and walking across a parking lot into a public place could feel, to some people on some nights, like climbing a mountain. He had felt that way once, the week after Danny's funeral. Walking into the grocery store, standing in the aisle with the bread. "If you want, I can go in first and get a booth," he said. "Come in when you're ready. Marjorie's seen weirder." "Who's Marjorie?" "Lady who owns it. Her name's not really Marjorie. It's Pam. Her mother was Marjorie. Pam keeps meaning to change the sign, but she hasn't gotten around to it in 40 years. Lena's mouth did something that was not quite a smile, but was closer than she'd come on the bridge. "Okay," she said. "I'll come in with you." They walked across the gravel together. She kept the pink blanket around her shoulders like a shawl. Her sneakers squelched. Ethan pushed the door open and a wave of warm air hit them, heavy with the smell of fryer grease and old coffee and pancake syrup. A bell jingled somewhere overhead. A woman behind the counter looked up from a crossword and squinted. "Ethan Brooks," Pam said. "What happened to you?" "Got caught in it." "Yeah, no kidding. You bringing your laundry in too or what?" "Just coffee, Pam." "Who's your friend?" "This is Lena." Pam looked Lena over. Pam was 62, built like a linebacker, and had been through enough husbands and enough winters to recognize certain things on sight. She did not ask any of the questions she could have asked. She just nodded once, slow. "Sit anywhere, hun," she said. "You want a towel?" "No," Lena said. "Thank you." "Let me get you a towel." Pam disappeared into the back. Ethan steered Lena toward the corner booth, the one by the window that was farthest from the other 3 customers, who were, respectively, an old man reading a paperback, a woman in scrubs eating a cheeseburger, and a kid in a hoodie staring at his phone. None of them looked up. They sat across from each other. The booth was red vinyl, cracked, patched with duct tape in 2 places. The table was Formica. There was a jukebox selector bolted to the wall that had not worked since the 90s. Someone had scratched initials into the corner of the table 20 years ago, and someone else had scratched over them. "This place is ugly," Lena said. "I know." "I like it." "I know." Pam came back with a stack of kitchen towels. not the cheap kind, the big thick ones she used for the dishes. She dropped them on the table without ceremony. "Get dry," she said. "You want coffee, hun?" "Yes, please." "Food?" Lena looked at Ethan. She looked lost. "Pancakes," he said. "2 orders, bacon, hash browns, whatever you've got." "You got it." Pam walked away. Lena picked up a towel and pressed it against her face. Her shoulders shook once, twice, and then she was quiet. When she put the towel down, her eyes were red, but she was not crying. "I can't pay for that," she said. "I didn't ask you to." "Ethan." Lena. She looked at him across the formica. The fluorescent lights were doing her no favors, and doing him no favors either. He could see the places where her makeup had smeared and the place on her chin where she had a small faint scar and the chapped line of her bottom lip where she'd been chewing it. She could see that his shirt was from a warehouse company whose logo had been washed almost off, and that he hadn't shaved in 2 days, and that he had a white mark on his left hand where a wedding ring used to be. Neither of them mentioned any of it. "Why are you doing this?" she said. "Eating pancakes. Not eating pancakes. This. Me. Why are you doing this?" He took his time with the answer. He wrapped his hands around the coffee cup Pam had set down in front of him at some point without his noticing. He watched the steam come off it. "You ever been really tired?" he said. "And then somebody just hands you a glass of water." "Yeah, that's it. That's all this is. Somebody handed me a glass of water once, a long time ago. I'm just handing one back." "Who handed you a glass of water?" "Doesn't matter." "Ethan." "Lena, eat your pancakes." The pancakes were not there yet. She laughed anyway, a small broken sound, and she picked up her coffee and she drank some, and a little color came back into her face. They did not talk for a while. Pam brought the food. 2 plates stacked high, steam rising off them, butter already melting. Ethan pushed the syrup across the table. Lena took it without meeting his eyes. She ate like someone who had not eaten in a while. She tried not to, at first. She tried to be polite, small bites, careful. But then something gave in her, and she just ate, hunched over the plate, and when she finally stopped, she had tears in her eyes that she was pretending were from the coffee. "How long since you ate?" he asked. "I don't know." "Lena." "Yesterday morning, I think. There was a granola bar, maybe the day before." He did not say anything. He picked up the second half of his bacon and put it on her plate. "I'm not hungry anymore," she said. "Eat it anyway." She ate it. By the time they pushed their plates away, it was almost 2 in the morning. The old man with the paperback had left. The woman in scrubs had left. The kid with the phone was still there, scrolling. Pam was washing something at the sink. Outside, the mist had become almost a fog, pressing soft and gray against the windows. "I need to go home," Ethan said. "I've been gone too long already. Rosa's asleep on my couch." "Okay." "I don't know what to do with you." "I'll figure something out." "Lena." "I will. I can go to my studio. The lights work. I have a lock. I'll be fine." He watched her. She was not fine. She was a woman who 3 hours ago had been swinging her leg back over a bridge railing. "Give me your phone," he said. "What?" "Your phone. Give it to me." She fished it out of her purse. It was an older model. The screen cracked in one corner. She handed it to him. "Unlock it." She hesitated, then pressed her thumb against it. He took it. He opened her contacts and typed in his own number and saved it under his name. Then he called his own phone from hers so he'd have her number too. His pocket buzzed. He handed it back. "That's me," he said. "If you're awake tonight, you text me. I don't care what time. I don't care what it says. Text me the letter H. I'll know it's you. If I don't answer right away, it's because I'm driving or I'm with my kid, but I will answer, okay?" "Okay. And tomorrow I'm going to text you, around noon, just to say hi. You don't have to write back, but I'm going to text you, and the day after that, and the day after that. Not forever, just for a little while. Until you've got a Tuesday." "A Tuesday?" "Yeah." She looked at him for a long time. Her eyes did the slate gray thing, the looking through thing, and then they came back. "You don't even know me," she said. "I know." That's a lot to give to someone you don't know. "It's a text message." "Ethan." "Lena, it's a text message." She put the phone in her purse. She pulled the blanket tight around her shoulders. She looked out the window at the fog. "My studio's in Meadow Park," she said. "It's about a 20-minute drive. I don't want you to drive me. You need to get home to your kid. Let me drive you. No. Lena? Ethan, please, I need to do one thing tonight that's my decision. I'm asking you to let it be this. He understood. He did not like it, but he understood. He nodded. I'll pay for a cab. Fine, okay, that I'll take. He paid Pam. He tipped her too much. Pam looked at the tip, looked at him, and did not say anything, which was how she always was and why he always came back. He called a cab from a service he'd used once before. 8 minutes, the dispatcher said. They waited at the booth. Can I ask you something? Lena said. Yeah. Your brother, what happened? Ethan was quiet for so long she thought he wasn't going to answer. He drank, he said eventually, from the time he was 15. Got worse every year. By the time he was 28, he was living in a motel and I was bringing him groceries every Sunday. One Sunday I brought the groceries and he didn't answer the door. I knocked for 20 minutes. I got the manager to open it. He was on the bathroom floor. He'd been there for 2 days. I'm sorry. Yeah. Is that why you stopped tonight? Probably. That's a heavy reason. It's the reason I've got. She reached across the table. She didn't take his hand. She just put hers near his, palm up, fingers half open. He looked at it for a moment. Then he put his hand in hers. Her fingers were no longer cold. They were warm from the coffee cup. They sat like that until the cab's headlights swept across the window. She let go first. She stood up. She kept the blanket. I'll wash it, she said. Your kid's blanket. I'll bring it back. Okay? I'm going to text you when I get home, so you know. Thank you. Ethan. Yeah. I'm not promising anything about tomorrow, about any of it. I just want to say that. You don't have to promise me anything. You just have to text. Okay. She walked out. The bell jingled. The cab pulled away. He watched the taillights disappear into the fog, and then he paid Pam again, who refused the second payment, and he walked out to his truck and he got in. He sat for a minute with his hands on the wheel. Then he drove home. Rosa was asleep in his armchair with a telenovela playing on mute. Maddie was asleep in her bed with her arms around a stuffed giraffe she had named Todd when she was 4 and had never stopped calling Todd. Ethan covered Rosa with a blanket and turned off the TV. He paid her and kissed her on the top of the head, and she mumbled something and went back to sleep. He walked into his kitchen and he stood at the sink and he drank a glass of water very slowly. His phone buzzed. H. He exhaled. He hadn't realized he'd been holding his breath. Hi. You home safe? Yes. Thank you. Sleep. Okay. Hey. He plugged his phone in. He went to check on his daughter. He pulled her blanket up over her shoulders and sat on the edge of her bed for a while. She was 7. She snored softly. She had asked him last week what heaven was, and he had told her he didn't know, and she had said, "That's okay, Daddy. I'll figure it out," like she was doing him a favor. He went to bed. He did not sleep well, but he slept. The next morning at noon, he was on his lunch break, eating a sandwich in the warehouse break room, and he took out his phone and he typed, "Hi," checking in. He waited. She answered 3 hours later. "Hi. I'm alive. I'm not doing great, but I'm alive. That's enough for today." Okay, that was all. The next day he texted her again. "Hi. Checking in." She answered in 20 minutes. "Hi. I went outside today. It felt weird." He wrote, "Weird is good." She wrote, "Is it?" He wrote, "Compared to nothing, yeah." On the 4th day, he asked her if she wanted to get coffee. She did not answer until the next morning. "I don't know. No pressure. It's not that. I just don't have coffee money right now." Lena. "I'm a man who eats at a diner called Marjorie's. I have coffee money." "Okay. Saturday? Somewhere near me." She sent an address. It was a small place called Beans on 8th, a narrow coffee shop wedged between a laundromat and a tax office. He showed up 15 minutes early because he was nervous, which surprised him because he had not been nervous about meeting anyone in a long time. He ordered a coffee and sat at a table by the window. She walked in 10 minutes late. She was wearing the same gray coat, but it had been washed. Her hair was pulled back. She had put on mascara a little. She looked tired, but she looked, for lack of a better word, present. "Hi," she said. "Hi." She sat. She ordered a tea. She put her hands around the cup when it came, and she just held it for a minute. Are we going to talk about it? She said. Talk about what? The bridge. Do you want to? No. Then no, she exhaled. Her shoulders dropped an inch. What do we talk about? She said. I don't know, anything. Weather, pancakes. You got a job yet? No. Me either. You have a job. I have a job. I don't know what I meant. I'm bad at this. At what? Coffee with people. Me too. They laughed a little. It was not a great laugh, but it was theirs. They talked for an hour about stupid things. About a movie she had watched in the middle of the night that was so bad it was funny. About his daughter, who had recently decided she was going to be a marine biologist, even though she had never seen the ocean. About Pam and the diner and the trucker who came through on Tuesdays and always ordered the same thing. She did not talk about her old job, or the man who had taken it from her, or her mother. He did not push. When they left, she said, "Thanks for the coffee. Same time next week?" Maybe. Maybe works. She walked home in the opposite direction. He watched her for a second, then got in his truck and drove back to his life. Maybe turned into yes. Yes turned into 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. They met at Beans on 8th every Saturday at 10. She stopped being 15 minutes late and started being 5 minutes late and then started being on time. He stopped getting nervous on Friday nights. They still didn't talk about the bridge. They talked about everything else. One Saturday in the 5th week, she said, "Tell me about your daughter." "What about her?" "I don't know. Anything." So he told her about Maddie. He told her about the giraffe named Todd. He told her about how Maddie refused to wear socks that didn't match, except on Tuesdays, when she insisted they had to be completely different because Tuesdays were opposite days, according to her, even though that was not a real thing, and he had told her it was not a real thing, and she had told him he was wrong. He told her Maddie was 7 and had lost her 2 front teeth in the same week and had made him film her blowing bubbles through the gap. He told her Maddie sometimes asked about her mother and sometimes didn't, and both were okay, and he had learned not to bring it up. Lena listened. She asked real questions. She laughed at the sock thing. When he stopped talking, she said, "She sounds amazing." "She is. I'd like to meet her someday, if that's ever a thing." He looked at her across the table. Her eyes were careful. She was not asking for it. She was putting it down on the table and letting him decide whether to pick it up. "Yeah," he said. "Yeah, someday." Someday turned out to be 2 weeks later. It was a Saturday in October. The leaves were starting to turn. Ethan had the day off. Maddie had a soccer game at 9, the kind where no one kept score because they were 7, and everybody got a juice box at the end whether they had touched the ball or not. He texted Lena, "Can I ask you something weird?" "Yes." "Maddie has a game, little park near my place. You want to come watch? No pressure. You can say no. You can also meet us at the diner after. You don't have to meet her at all." There was a long pause. He watched the 3 dots start and start again. "I'll come to the diner." "Okay." Ethan. "Yeah. I'm scared." "Of what? Of messing it up?" Lena. "It's pancakes. You keep saying things like that." "Yeah. It usually works." She showed up at Marjorie's at 10:30. Ethan and Maddie were already in the booth, the one by the window, the same booth where he had sat with Lena on the night she had shown up at his life like a storm he had not seen coming. Maddie was eating a silver dollar pancake by picking it up with her fingers. She had grass stains on her knees and a scrape on her elbow and a soccer sock pulled up to her thigh on the left leg and a soccer sock bunched around her ankle on the right. Her hair was up in what she insisted on calling a horse tail. Lena walked in. The bell jingled. Maddie looked up. Ethan watched his daughter's face do that thing it did when she was assessing a new person. She had been doing it since she was 2. She would go very still, and her eyes would get very serious, and she would decide in about 4 seconds whether a person was in or out. It was not something he had taught her. It was something she had come with. Lena came to the booth. She was wearing a better coat now, a dark green one she had found at a thrift store on 3rd. Her hair was clean. She looked, for the first time since Ethan had known her, like a person who had a Tuesday. "Hi," she said. "Hi," said Maddie. "You're Lena." "I am. Dad said you might come." "He did." "I like your coat." "Thank you, I like your sock." "Which one?" "Both." Maddie considered this, then she nodded, just once, and slid over in the booth to make room. Lena sat down next to her. Ethan felt something in his chest do a thing he was not going to name. Maddie told Lena about the soccer game. She had not scored, but she had almost scored, and she had run the wrong way once, but only a little bit, and the other team had a girl named Olivia who was actually kind of a jerk. Lena listened. Lena asked what position she played. Maddie said, "I'm a fence," with great seriousness, and Ethan did not say anything, because Maddie played wherever the coach put her and mostly chased butterflies along the sideline. Pam came over. Pam looked at Lena. Pam looked at Ethan. Pam said, "Coffee, hun?" And Lena said, "Please." And that was it. They ate pancakes. Maddie asked Lena a question about 50 questions. Did Lena have a pet? Did Lena like dinosaurs? What was Lena's favorite dinosaur? Was Lena's favorite dinosaur the T-Rex because that was the wrong answer, and the right answer was a Parasaurolophus because they had crests on their heads like trumpets. Lena said she had no idea what a Parasaurolophus was. Maddie drew one on a napkin. It looked like a very angry dog. Lena said it was beautiful. At some point, and Ethan could not have said when exactly, Maddie moved the napkin drawing toward Lena and said, "You can keep it." Lena looked at it for a long moment. "I'm going to keep it forever," she said. "You don't have to keep it forever." "I know. I want to." Maddie shrugged, the kind of shrug only children can do, where they are pretending it is nothing while being absolutely delighted. She went back to her pancake. Ethan met Lena's eyes across the table. She looked at him. Her eyes were wet. She shook her head, just a little, and she smiled, and she mouthed, "Thank you." He nodded. They walked Maddie home. Maddie held her father's hand. Halfway down the block, she reached over and grabbed Lena's too. She did it without asking. She did it the way she did everything else, with total certainty that the world would accommodate her because so far it always had. Lena did not say anything. She just walked, holding a 7-year-old sticky hand down a street in October, and for the first time in months and months, she did not feel like a ghost. After that, Lena came around. Not always. Not every week. But sometimes. Sunday mornings, mostly. She would show up with bagels. She would sit on the floor of the living room while Maddie built cities out of Legos and told her, in very serious detail, which building was the hospital and which was the airport and which was the pretend place where the grown-ups go to be sad about stuff, which had made Ethan choke on his coffee. Lena had looked at him and said, "Is that a bar?" And Maddie had said, "Sort of. There's sandwiches, too." And Lena had said, "That's the best kind." She started getting interviews, small ones. Not for the kind of job she used to have. Nonprofit stuff, communications work. One position at a women's shelter that she wanted very badly and didn't get, and cried about on Ethan's couch at 10 at night while Maddie was asleep in the other room. He didn't try to fix it. He made her tea. He sat next to her while she cried. When she stopped crying, she said, "Thanks for not saying anything stupid." And he said, "I had a whole speech. I just forgot it." And she laughed so hard she cried again, but it was a different kind of crying this time. She got a job in November. Part-time at a community resource center downtown, helping people with paperwork and referrals. The pay was bad and the hours were worse. She took it anyway. The first paycheck, she drove to Marjorie's and paid for dinner for 3 strangers. "You didn't have to do that," Pam said. "I kind of did," Lena said. Pam looked at her a long time. Pam had seen her come in that first night like something the rain had spit out. Pam had watched her come back with the man and the kid for a lot of Sundays now, with her hair brushed and her coat buttoned and her eyes clear. "You eating?" Pam said. "Yeah, Pam, I'm eating." "Good." Some nights Ethan would drive her home and they would sit in his truck outside her building for half an hour before she got out. They talked about small things. They talked about big things. They did not talk about the bridge, not directly, not yet, but one night in the truck, with the heater running and the radio playing low, she said, "I think about it, sometimes. What I almost did." He didn't say anything. "I'm not going to do it," she said. "I want you to know that. It's not there anymore like it was. But I think about it. The fact that I almost did. That's okay to think about. Is it? Yeah. That's a real thing that happened. It's part of your life now. You don't have to pretend it wasn't. Sometimes I think if you hadn't stopped, don't." "I know." "Lena, don't." I just mean, I know what you mean, but don't. You're here. That's what matters. I'm not special, okay? If it hadn't been me, it would have been somebody else. Or maybe it wouldn't have. I don't know. I'm glad it was me. But the point isn't me. The point is, you kept going. She was quiet for a long time. I keep waiting for something to come and take it back, she said. All of this. My apartment. My job. Your daughter. You. I keep waiting for the floor to drop. I know. Do you? Yeah, Lena, I do. She looked at him. In the dashboard light, her face was softer than he had ever seen it. Ethan, she said. Yeah. I don't know what this is. Me either. I'm not ready for it to be a thing, a serious thing. I don't trust myself yet. I don't trust me. Okay? Is that okay? Lena. Yeah. That's okay. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. She smiled. It was a small, scared smile. She opened the door. She got out. She walked to her building and she unlocked the front door and she turned at the top of the steps and she waved at him in the truck. He waved back. He waited until she was inside before he drove away. By the time winter set in, Lena was someone who belonged. Not to him necessarily, not to Maddie technically, but she was around and she was real. And when she walked into a room, everyone in it looked up. Ethan's coworker Dave met her once at a bowling alley Ethan had been dragged to and said afterward, "Brooks, that is not a casual person." Ethan had shrugged. He didn't have a word for what she was. He didn't need one. In early December, Maddie lost another tooth. She had been working on it for a week. It came out while she was eating cereal. She held it up in one small bloody hand and shouted, "Lena, I got it out!" Because Lena happened to be on the couch drinking coffee that morning, which had been happening more Sundays than not. Lena put down her coffee. "Let me see," she said. Maddie put the tooth in her palm. "Is it gross?" "It is very gross." "Good." Lena looked at the tooth. She closed her hand around it. She looked at Ethan across the room. Her eyes were bright, and her cheeks were pink, and she was laughing, and there was a 7-year-old pressed against her side, and for half a second she looked like a woman who had lived her whole life exactly here. She looked up at the ceiling, like she was steadying herself. "Okay," she said, mostly to herself. "Okay." "You okay?" Ethan said. "Yeah," she said. "I'm good. I'm really good." He watched her. He watched his daughter. He watched the morning come through his kitchen window, gray and clean, and he thought about a bridge in the rain, and a woman on a railing, and a truck that had stopped, and all the long, strange, ordinary days that had come after. Outside, the first snow of the season started to fall. Lena went to the window with Maddie pressed against her hip, and they both watched it come down. Ethan got up to make more coffee. He did not say anything. He did not need to. For a little while, nothing in the world was on fire. The phone on the counter, face down, next to the sugar bowl, would start buzzing in about 40 minutes. Lena would pick it up. She would look at the screen. Her face would change. She would walk into the hallway to take the call, and when she came back, the light in her eyes would be gone. But that had not happened yet. Right now, there was only the snow and the coffee and a woman and a child and a man standing in a small, warm kitchen, watching the world get quietly, briefly, kind. The phone buzzed at 10:42. Lena was still at the window, one hand resting lightly on the top of Maddie's head. The snow was coming down harder now, fat, wet flakes that stuck to the sidewalk and the mailboxes and the hood of Ethan's truck out front. Maddie was counting them out loud and losing track every time she got past 12 because she always lost track past 12. Ethan was at the stove, scraping the last of the scrambled eggs out of the pan, and he did not look up when the phone started vibrating against the counter. "It's yours," he said. "Your phone, buzzing." Lena crossed the kitchen slowly, reluctant to leave the window, reluctant to leave the warm, small weight of the little girl against her side. She picked up the phone. She looked at the screen. Her face did a thing. Ethan saw it in the reflection on the microwave door before he saw it on her face itself. Something closed. Some small, bright light went out. "I have to take this," she said. "Sorry, 1 second. You good?" "Yeah, I'll be right back." She walked into the hallway. She pulled the door half shut behind her. Maddie turned from the window and frowned at her father. "Where's she going?" "Phone call, monkey." "Is she coming back?" Yeah, she'll be right back. Eat your eggs. Maddie climbed into her chair and picked up her fork. Ethan put a plate in front of her. He tried to keep his ears on his own kitchen. He did not do a very good job. In the hallway, Lena's voice came through in pieces. Low, tight, a register he had not heard from her in a month. No, I told you, I don't... A pause. Who gave you this number? Another pause. I don't care what he said. I'm not commenting. I'm not on record. I'm not off record. I'm not anything. Don't call me again. The call ended. She did not come back. Ethan gave her a minute. He gave her 2. Maddie ate her eggs and went back to the window. He finally set his towel down and walked to the hallway, and he saw Lena sitting on the bottom step of his little staircase, phone in her lap, staring at a water stain on the ceiling like it had just said something to her. Hey. Who was that? A reporter. He waited. From a trade magazine I used to read, she said. Not a big one, but big enough. They're working on a piece, or a follow-up, I guess, about the thing. From before, it's like, okay, Ethan, they have my name. They have this number. They had stuff they shouldn't have. They had the name of the company I was at last month doing freelance work. I didn't tell anyone about that job. I took it under my mother's maiden name. She laughed, but the laugh was a thin, sharp thing, which makes me sound insane, but I promise you there was a reason. What reason? Because the first time my name got into the papers, they called my apartment for 3 weeks. They called my landlord. They called the diner on the corner. They called my dentist. Somebody tried to buy photos of me from the lobby camera of my building. I didn't invent that. That happened. She rubbed her hands against her thighs. The pink of her cheeks from the snow was gone. I thought it was over, she said. I really thought it was over. It's been 8 months. There's been nothing. And now he's... whatever. He's giving an interview. He's doing a rebrand. He's telling the whole thing again with his version. And when they go to check the details, they call me, because of course they do. I'm part of the story. I'm never not going to be part of the story. Lena, I have to go. Hey, look at me. She looked at him. Her eyes had gone flat. He had not seen that look since the bridge. Not that bad, but the same shape of it. Don't, he said. Don't do that. Don't do what? Don't go away. Don't go where you went just now. Stay here. I am here. You're not. She closed her eyes. She pressed the heel of her hand into her forehead. Ethan, I can't be here right now. I need to go home. I need to figure this out. I need to call somebody, and I need to not do it in your kitchen with your kid in the next room. Okay. I'm not... Okay, Lena. Go. She stood up. She went back into the kitchen too fast, and she made her voice bright for Maddie, and she said goodbye, and she said she'd see her soon, and she grabbed her coat from the hook. Maddie asked where she was going. Lena said she had to help a friend. It was a small, true thing. Ethan watched her from the doorway. He did not try to walk her out. The door shut. A minute later, he heard her car start. He had not known she had a car now. She had bought it last month. An ancient Civic with a dent in the bumper. She was proud of it. Maddie looked at him. Daddy. Yeah. Is Lena sad? A little bit, sweetie. Eat your eggs. Did I do something? No, monkey. You didn't do anything. Grown-ups get sad about grown-up stuff sometimes. It's not about you. Okay. She ate her eggs. Ethan stood in the kitchen and watched the snow come down and tried to remember how to breathe like a person who was not about to get in his truck and drive after her. He gave her 2 hours. Then he texted her. You home? She did not answer for 3 hours. Yes. I'm okay. I just need tonight. Okay. Thank you. He did not text her the next day. He gave her room. He did not know what room was good for exactly, but he gave it to her because she had asked. She did not text him either. He worked. He picked up his daughter from school. He made spaghetti. He watched a cartoon about a dog who could talk. He put Maddie to bed. He sat on his couch and stared at his phone and did not pick it up. On the second night, she sent him a link. It was an article in a trade magazine he had never heard of. The headline was not subtle. Industry insider breaks silence on boardroom betrayal. There was a picture of a man in a charcoal suit, silver hair, expensive smile. Under the picture, it said his name and a title Ethan did not understand. Below that, the article. He read the whole thing. It took 20 minutes. He read it twice. The first time he just tried to follow it. The second time he read it slowly, the way a person reads a contract. The man in the picture was painting a very careful picture. He had not, he said, wanted to say anything. He had been silent out of respect. But now, with his new venture launching, with his reputation being weaponized by a former colleague, he felt he had no choice. He talked about trust. He talked about mentorship. He talked about a brilliant, troubled young woman whose ambitions outran her ethics. He did not use her name once. He didn't have to. The article named her Lena Carter, 28, once a rising star at the firm, dismissed 8 months ago amid an internal investigation into falsified client reports. Carter reached for comment, declined. The article included a detail about her mother's funeral. It included the name of the diner on her corner, where she had allegedly been seen crying in a booth 2 nights before her termination. It included a quote from an anonymous source who called her a person who should never have been trusted with that much responsibility. The writer was good. The writer was careful. The writer also, Ethan could tell even from the outside, had already decided what this story was going to be before she started writing. He read it a third time. When he was done, his hands were shaking. He called Lena. She answered on the 4th ring. Hi. Hi. You read it? Yeah. I told you. Lena. No, I told you. I said something would come and take it, and now it has. Nothing's been taken yet. She laughed. It was not the good laugh. It was the bridge laugh. Thin and empty and very far away. Ethan, I'm going to lose my job at the center. The director's going to Google me in about 4 days, and she's going to find this, and she's going to let me go in the nicest, gentlest way possible, because she's a nice, gentle person, and I won't even be able to be mad, because she has a board, and she has donors, and I'm a liability. I'm going to lose my apartment because I can't make December without that job. I'm going to be back where I was in March, except worse, because I had 8 months of thinking I was out of it, and now I have to lose all of it again. That's what's happening. That's happening right now. So don't tell me nothing's been taken. Something's been taken. It's just going to take a couple of weeks for everything to catch up. Come over. No. Lena, come over. I can't be around your kid right now. I can't be around you right now. I'm not safe to be around, Ethan. Her voice broke. I am not a safe person to be around right now. I'm not scared of you. Yeah, well, you should be. I'm not. She was quiet. I'm not coming over, she said. I'm going to hang up. I'm going to not jump off anything. I'm going to not do anything stupid. I'm going to sit in my apartment, and I'm going to eat a granola bar, and I'm going to sleep. That's all I can promise you tonight, okay? Okay? Don't come over. I won't. Promise me. I promise, Lena. Thank you. Call me tomorrow. Maybe. She hung up. He sat on the couch and stared at the wall and tried very hard not to get in his truck. He did not get in his truck. He kept his promise. It cost him. The next morning he called in sick to work, which he had not done in 4 years. He drove Maddie to school. He came back to the house, and he sat at the kitchen table and he read the article 6 more times. Each time it got worse. The comments on the magazine's site were bad. The social media shares were worse. Somebody had made a thread about her. Somebody had posted a photo of her from a company holiday party 3 years ago and written a paragraph under it that was so cruel it made Ethan feel physically sick. Another person had reposted it. And another. The mechanics of it were not dramatic. No one was lighting anything on fire. People were just talking, the way people talk, and the talk was piling up and covering her piece by piece. He did not know what to do. He did not have the kind of friends who could help with this. He did not know any lawyers. He did not know any reporters. He had $1,100 in his checking account and a truck that was worth maybe $6,000 on a good day and a daughter who needed new winter boots. He was not the cavalry. He had never been the cavalry. He called her at noon. She did not answer. He called her at 2. She did not answer. He called her at 4:30. Her phone went straight to voicemail. He sat in his kitchen with his hand over his mouth for a long time. At 5, he got up. He called Mrs. Alvarez and asked if she could pick up Maddie from aftercare and sit with her for an hour or two. Mrs. Alvarez, who had not asked any questions 6 months ago and was not asking any questions now, said yes. He drove to Lena's apartment. He had only been to it twice. It was a walk-up in a 3-story building off Meadow Park, with a front door that did not lock properly and a buzzer system that had not worked since the Bush administration. He parked. He walked up. He knocked on her door. He waited. Nothing. He knocked again. Lena. Nothing. He put his forehead against the door. He could feel his heart beating in his throat. Lena, if you're in there, I need you to answer. I don't need you to open the door. I just need you to tell me you're in there. A long pause. Then through the wood, small and tired. I'm in here. He closed his eyes. Okay, he said. I promised I wouldn't come. I'm sorry. I broke my promise. You broke your promise. Yeah. Ethan, I'm not coming in. I'm just going to sit here, okay? In the hallway. I'm going to sit on this step. I'm going to be here. You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to open the door. I just need to know you're on the other side of it. Is that okay? Another long pause. Yeah, she said. That's okay. He sat down on the top step of the stairwell, his back against her door. The hallway smelled like cigarettes and carpet cleaner. Somewhere in the building, someone was listening to a television too loud. He could hear a game show through the wall, the tinny sound of applause and a bell ringing every couple of minutes. He sat there for 40 minutes. I haven't eaten, she said finally, muffled through the door. Can I get you something? No, I mean, I haven't eaten. I'm telling you because you asked me last time and I didn't tell you the truth. When? Last time, in March, on the bridge. I hadn't eaten for 2.5 days. I told you yesterday. I told you the night of. You told me. But I had told myself I wouldn't tell you. I told myself I'd lie if you asked. And you asked, and I told you the truth instead. That was the first thing I did different. Okay? I'm trying to remember how to do that right now. Okay, Lena. I don't know what to do. You don't have to know. He has more money than me. He has more lawyers than me. He has more friends than me. He's going to win. This isn't something you win. That's what people say when they're losing. He laughed just once, a small quiet sound, and he heard her laugh on the other side of the door, a broken piece of a laugh, and for a second the air in his chest got easier. Can I ask you something? He said. Yeah, if you lose the job, if you lose the apartment, if all of it, what's the next thing? The next thing. The next thing, not the big one. The next little one. Tomorrow morning, what do you do? I don't know. Lena, I'd pay my electric bill. It's due Friday. I already have the money set aside. Okay, that's the next thing. That's the next thing. Then what? Then I'd... She paused. He could hear her breathing. Then I'd call my boss at the center before she has to call me. I'd go in tomorrow and I'd tell her about the article before she finds it. I'd let her decide what to do with me instead of making her find me. Good. Is it good? It's better than her finding you. Way better. She might keep me. She might. She probably won't. Maybe. But she might. She was quiet. I'm so tired, Ethan. I know. I keep almost not being tired. I keep almost getting out of this. And every time I almost get out, yeah, I don't want to do this again. I know. If I have to do this again, I don't know if I can. He put his head back against the door. Lena, listen to me. I don't have any good words. I never did. I'm a guy who drives a truck. But I want to say this thing, and I want you to hear me. You are not the thing that's in that article. You know that. Your boss probably knows it. Anybody who's actually met you knows it. And the people who are going to write comments and share stuff and decide you're the villain, they don't know you. They don't even know who they're talking about. They're talking about a cartoon. That cartoon is not you. It's just shaped like you. She didn't say anything. You can hate me for saying this, he said, but I'm going to say it anyway. You don't get to decide to disappear because strangers on the internet have opinions. You don't get to do that. If you want to disappear because you're tired, that's one thing, and we can talk about it, and I'll sit with you, and we'll figure out how to not be tired. But if you're going to disappear because a man in a charcoal suit told a lie about you, then he wins. And I know you said this wasn't about winning, but it is. Of course it is. Everything's about winning, a little bit. You can fake like it isn't, but it is. I hate that you just said that. I know. I really hate it. I know. She was crying now. He could hear it through the door, not loud, just the small, catching sound of a person trying to cry without anyone hearing them. I don't know how to not disappear, she said. You start by not disappearing tonight. You already did that. You didn't disappear tonight. You told me the thing about March. You answered the door. You're sitting on the other side of a door talking to a guy in a hallway about an electric bill. That's not disappearing. That's like the opposite of disappearing. You're barely even hiding. She laughed. She cried. The sounds came through the door all mixed up. He stayed where he was. Ethan. Yeah. I think I want you to go home. Okay? I don't want you to, but I think I want you to, because Maddie's at Rose's and you've been sitting in a hallway for an hour, and this is a lot for you. I know it's a lot for you. You're not as good at pretending it isn't as you think you are. I wasn't trying to pretend. You were a little. Okay. A little. Go home. Are you going to sleep? I'm going to try. Are you going to do anything stupid? No, I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm going to pay my electric bill tomorrow, and I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to tell my boss what's happening before she finds it on her own. That's the plan. That's the whole plan. That's a good plan. Thanks. You want me to come back tomorrow? A long pause. No, she said. I don't think so. Not tomorrow. Okay. I don't want to. Lena, stop. It's okay. I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to explain. I'll text you tomorrow. You answer if you want. Okay. He pushed himself up off the step. His knees popped. His hand lingered on the door frame. I'm leaving now, he said. Okay. Lena. Yeah. I'm really glad I stopped on the bridge. A long silence. He thought maybe she hadn't heard him. Then quiet. Very quiet. Me too. He went home. He picked up Maddie from Mrs. Alvarez. He made dinner. He answered his daughter's questions about a field trip she was excited about. He put her to bed. He read 2 chapters of the book about the girl and the dragon. He kissed her forehead. He sat in his own bed with the light on for a long time. His phone did not ring. He did not sleep well. He texted her the next day at noon, checking in. No pressure. She answered 6 hours later. I told my boss. She was kind. I have a meeting with her tomorrow at 11 with someone from HR. I don't know what that means. I'll tell you when I know. Okay. The next day, she didn't text at all. The day after that, she sent him one line. I lost the job. He wrote, I'm sorry. He sat looking at his phone for 20 minutes, and then he wrote, Can I call you? And she wrote back, Not tonight. He didn't push. For a week, things between them went to silence. Not a fight, not a break. Just a slow quiet pulling away, like a tide going out in the dark. She answered his texts less. When she answered, the answers were short. She didn't come over that Sunday. Maddie asked where she was, and he said she was busy with work, even though she didn't have work anymore. And Maddie accepted it, the way kids accept things grown-ups tell them when grown-ups clearly don't want to be asked twice. Then on a Thursday night, Dave from the warehouse called him. Brooks, you online right now? No? You should probably look at something. What? Just look, man. He hung up. Ethan stared at the phone for a second. Then he picked up his laptop. He opened the social media app he barely used. He scrolled. Somebody had found Lena's Instagram. It had been private. Now it wasn't. Somebody had gone through her old photos 3 years back, 4 years back, and pulled out a set of party pictures from a work event she had been to where she had been laughing and holding a drink and standing too close to the man in the charcoal suit. They had made a post. They had said things about those photos. They had strung them together into a story that was not the story. The post had a lot of shares. Underneath, someone had posted a screenshot of a tweet from a woman who claimed to have been Lena's intern 4 years ago. The tweet said Lena was exactly the kind of woman this industry protects, and went on for 6 more posts in a thread. The woman in the tweet was not Lena's intern. Ethan did not know that for a fact. He just knew because he knew Lena. He knew Lena did not leave behind the kind of interns who wrote threads like that. He knew because he had watched Lena sit on his living room floor and ask his 7-year-old 50 earnest questions about dinosaurs. He closed the laptop. He called her. She did not answer. He texted her. I just saw it. Are you okay? Please answer. No answer. He called her again. He called her again. He called her 3 more times. On the 4th call, she picked up. Ethan. Hey. I can't. Lena. I can't right now. Where are you? Are you home? I'm home. Okay, I'm coming over. No. Lena. I said no, Ethan. You need what? I need to not have anybody to lose. He went still. What? I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this to you. You have a kid. You have a whole life. You have a kid. I've brought this into your house. I sat on your couch with her on my lap, and I let her draw me a dinosaur, and I let her call me. And now there are people on the internet writing things about me that are going to follow me around forever. And the second one of them figures out I'm spending time with a little girl. The second one of them, Lena, stop. I'm being honest. I know you are. Stop anyway. I'm doing you a favor. Don't you dare. Don't you dare do me a favor. Ethan. Lena, no. You don't get to decide what's good for me. You don't get to decide what's good for my daughter. You don't get to push us out of your life because you think it's the noble thing. I don't need noble. My kid doesn't need noble. We need you. You don't need me. Lena, you were fine before me. I was not fine before you. You were doing okay. I was not doing okay, Lena. I was driving a truck and working shifts and raising a 7-year-old and not talking to anybody. And I thought that was okay. But okay is not the same as fine, and I'm not doing it again. I'm not going back there. Do you hear me? She was crying. I can't do this tonight, she said. Then don't. Don't do it tonight. Sleep. Eat. I don't care. Just don't decide anything tonight, please. I'm going to hang up. Lena, I love you. She said it very small. She said it like she was trying to get it out before she could take it back. I love you, she said again. I'm saying it so you know. And I'm telling you, I'm going to go now, and you're not going to come over, because if you come over, I'm going to break. I'm going to break in a way I can't come back from. I need to be alone tonight. I'm asking you. I'm begging you, please. She hung up. He sat in his kitchen with his phone in his hand. The snow had started again outside. The second real snow of the year, soft and steady, the kind that made the streetlights look like candles. He could hear Maddie in her room singing to herself. She was in bed, but not asleep. She sang when she couldn't sleep, a song she was making up, something about a cat and a boat. He stood up. He grabbed his keys. He stopped. He put his keys down. He walked back to the couch. He sat. He put his head in his hands. He stayed that way for a long time, because she had begged him, and he had promised her once in a hallway that he would not come, and he had already broken that promise once. And he did not know, standing there, whether the right thing was to keep the promise or break it again. He did not know what the right thing was. He only knew that a woman he loved was alone in an apartment across town, and that she had said the word love out loud for the first time in their whole long, quiet year, and that she had said it as a goodbye. Outside, the snow kept coming. He did not move. He did not get in his truck. He did not go to her. He just sat in his small, warm kitchen with his hands over his face and waited for the night to tell him what to do. He sat there until the song from his daughter's room stopped. It stopped the way her songs always stopped. No ending. Just a trailing off, the last line sung half into the pillow, and then quiet. He listened for her breathing through the wall, which was a stupid thing to listen for, but he did it anyway. He imagined her curled on her side with Todd the giraffe wedged under her chin. Then he picked up his phone and he called Rosa. Rosa. Mijo, it's late. I know. I'm sorry. Can you come over right now? Just sleep on the couch. Maddie's down. I have to go. There was a pause. Rosa was not a woman who required explanations. I'll be there in 10, she said. She was there in 9. She came in through the side door in her slippers and a parka thrown over her housecoat, and she looked at his face once and pointed at the door. Go, she said. Drive slow. Roads are bad. He drove slow. The roads were bad. The snow had gotten serious in the last hour, and the plows had not come through, and his tires did their usual nervous thing on the curves. He gripped the wheel with both hands. He tried not to think. Thinking was not going to help. He just had to get there. He got there in 23 minutes. He parked across the street because there were no spots, because there were never any spots. He walked across the road with his shoulders up against the snow, and he hit the broken buzzer 3 times before remembering it had never worked. And he pulled on the front door of her building and it opened, because the front door of her building never properly shut. He took the stairs 2 at a time. Her hallway looked the way it always looked, smelled the way it always smelled. The game show was not on tonight. The neighbor was asleep. Her door was shut. He knocked. "Lena." Nothing. "Lena, it's me. I know you told me not to. I'm here anyway. I'm not leaving." Nothing. His heart did a thing, a bad thing, a thing it had done once before on a bridge. He pressed his ear against the door. "Lena, I need you to say something. Anything. I don't care what it is. I need a sound." A long, awful pause. "Go home, Ethan." He closed his eyes. He had never been so relieved to hear somebody tell him to go home in his entire life. He put his forehead against the door. "I'm not going home." "I told you not to come." "I know. I begged you." "I know." "You promised." "I lied. I'm sorry. I lied. I wasn't going to. I really wasn't. And then I sat in my kitchen and I heard my daughter stop singing and I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing sitting in a kitchen while a woman I love is—" He stopped. The word had come out. It sat there in the hallway between them, small and real. "Open the door, Lena." "No." "Please. Ethan, I look like— I don't want you to see me like this. I've seen you worse. I've seen you in the rain on a bridge at midnight with your leg over a railing. You do not get to tell me you look too bad to open the door." Silence. Then slowly, the lock turned. The door opened about 6 inches. He saw one of her eyes, puffy and red, and a strand of hair stuck to her cheek, and the flicker of the kitchen light behind her. "Come in," she said. "Fast, before I change my mind." He came in fast. Her apartment was a mess. Not a huge mess, just the small, specific mess of a person who had not cleaned in days. Tea mug on the counter, a plate with half a sandwich on the coffee table. Her laptop open on the couch, the screen dimmed, the article still up. Her phone face down on the kitchen counter. The blanket from his truck, the pink plaid one, folded neatly on the back of her one chair, because she had washed it months ago and kept meaning to bring it back and kept forgetting. She closed the door behind him. She leaned against it. She had on the same sweatpants she had worn that Sunday at his house. She had on a t-shirt that was too big for her. Her feet were bare. Her face was a wreck. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "I know. I'm serious. I know, Lena. You don't get to just override me because you think you know better. I didn't override you. You are literally standing in my apartment. I came because you said the word love and then hung up. That's not about me thinking I know better. That's about a person saying a thing like that and then hanging up." She stared at him. "I shouldn't have said it." "Yes, you should. It wasn't fair." "It was the truth. The truth is allowed." "It was the truth at the wrong time." "Lena, there is no right time. There is never a right time. If there was a right time for any of the real things, nobody would ever say any of them. You said it. It's out. It's in the room. I'm not letting you put it back in the box." She slid down the door until she was sitting on the floor. Her knees came up. She wrapped her arms around them. She looked like a small child. She looked for a second exactly the way she had looked on the concrete by the fence, and he had to sit down too or his legs were going to stop working. He sat down across from her. He put his back against the couch. They were maybe 6 feet apart. "I meant it," she said. "I love you. I meant it." "Okay. That's why I'm doing this." "Doing what?" "Trying to get you out." "I'm not going out." "Ethan." "Lena, I want to say something. Can I say something?" "Yes." He took a breath. "I'm not a smart man," he said. "I'm not. I dropped out of community college after 1 semester. I drive a truck. I can barely do my own taxes. I don't know anything about your world, the one you came out of, with the suits and the campaigns and the people who write articles. I don't know how any of that works. I can't fix any of it. I've been sitting on my couch for a week feeling like the most useless man alive because I can't make a single one of those people stop. I can't. It's not a thing I can do. I know. But here's what I know. I know you. Not the you in that article. Not the you in those photos. The you who sat in my kitchen last Sunday and watched the snow with my kid and looked at me across the room like you had just figured out how to breathe. I know that woman. And that woman is not the person they're writing about. That woman is a person who got wrecked. That woman is a person who has been walking up a hill for 8 months with a rock on her back. And some people just pushed her back down to the bottom. That's not the same as being bad. That's not the same as being broken in a way you can't come back from. That's just somebody who got pushed. Ethan, I'm not done, okay? You keep thinking the way out of this is to figure out how to be perfect, how to be unassailable, how to be somebody nobody can write about. That's not a thing you get to be. Nobody gets to be that. You think I'm clean? You think I don't have a list of things I did wrong? I let my brother die. I wasn't there. I knew he was bad and I didn't go see him that week. And he died alone on a bathroom floor, and there is not a day of my life I don't think about it. That's my thing. That's what I carry. I am not a man without a rock on my back. You know this. You've known this since the bridge. I told you on the bridge. That's how we started. We started with me admitting the worst thing about me to a stranger in the rain. And you stayed anyway. You got in my truck. You ate my pancakes. You let my kid give you a drawing. You didn't need me to be clean. I don't need you to be clean either. I need you to stop running. That's all. She was crying. Not loud. Just the slow kind of crying that comes out of a person who has been holding on for days. I don't know how to stop, she said. You stop by staying in the room. That's how. You stop by opening the door when I knock. You stop by eating a sandwich. You stop by calling me back. You stop by not deciding you know what's good for me. You stop by letting other people be in it with you. That's the whole thing. That's all it is. It sounds too small. It is small. It's not a speech. It's not a movie. It's not a redemption. It's just you on the floor right now, not disappearing. That's it. That's the whole win. Tomorrow we do it again. She put her face in her hands. I'm so tired, Ethan. I know. I'm so tired of being the person this happened to. I know. I don't want to be her anymore. I don't want her name. I don't want her job. I don't want her story. I just want to be, I want to be somebody's. She couldn't finish. Lena, look at me. She looked up. Her eyes were the slate gray they got when she went away. But she was looking at him. She was still here. You are somebody's, he said. Mine, Maddie's, Rose's, a little, even though she pretends she's not. You have people. You don't have a lot of them. You don't have the number of people you should have, but you have some. And we're not going anywhere. My daughter drew you a dinosaur. That means something in our house. That is not revocable. You understand me? It's not revocable. You can push me away. You cannot answer my calls for another week. You can say love and hang up. You can do all of it. And a month from now, when you come back, Maddie is going to run at you across the kitchen and wrap her arms around your legs because she decided a long time ago in a booth at a diner that you were hers. And I don't get to undo that. You don't get to undo that. That's the deal. Lena made a sound he had never heard her make before. A raw, tearing thing. She pressed her hands hard against her face and she wept. The real way. The way people weep when they have finally set down something they have been carrying for too long. He didn't move. He just sat there, on the floor of her apartment, and he let her. When she could breathe again, she wiped her face with the bottom of her shirt. She looked wrecked, and 10 years younger, and 10 years older all at once. I don't deserve this, she said. I don't care what you deserve. Ethan, I'm serious. I don't care. Deserve is not a word I use about people I love. It's a word for dogs and employees. She laughed. Her laugh was wet and broken. That's a terrible thing to say. Yeah, well, come here. He crossed the 6 feet. He sat next to her against the door. She put her head on his shoulder. Her hair smelled like cheap drugstore shampoo and the faint ghost of cold air from outside. Her shoulder shook a little, then stopped, then shook again, then steadied. They sat like that for a long time. I can't live here anymore, she said eventually. I'm going to lose this place. I have maybe 3 weeks. Okay. I don't know what I'm going to do. You're going to pack a bag. You're going to come stay with me and Maddie. Not forever, just until you figure it out. I have a couch. It's not comfortable. You'll hate it. I can't. You can. Ethan, your kid. My kid loves you. My kid is going to be thrilled. My kid is going to ask if you can stay on the couch until she's 18. I'm going to have to talk her down. I can't sleep on your couch. Then sleep in Maddie's room on the trundle. She has one. It's pink. It's got dinosaurs on the sheets because of course it does. You will hate that too. Ethan. Lena. This is not a good idea. I know. I'm doing it anyway. I'm going to be a mess. I'm going to cry in your bathroom. I'm going to be unemployed. I'm going to spiral. I'm going to be the worst version of me. I've met the worst version of you. The worst version of you is a woman on a bridge in a storm. I'm not scared of any version after that. She closed her eyes. She let out a long breath. Her shoulders dropped all the way down, maybe for the first time since he'd walked in. I'm scared, she said. I know. I'm scared of coming to your house and then losing it. Losing you, losing her, losing one more thing. You're not going to lose us. You can't promise that. No, I can't promise it. Nobody promises anything. People die, people leave, people get hit by buses. I can't promise anything, but I can tell you that I'm not going anywhere on purpose. Not today, not tomorrow, not because of an article, not because of a man in a charcoal suit, not because you're having a bad week. I'm not that guy. You know I'm not that guy. That's the one thing you do know about me for sure. She didn't say anything. She took his hand. She laced her fingers through his. His hand was calloused, and her fingernails were bitten down, and their hands looked together like two hands that belonged to people who had lived hard and were still trying. Okay, she said. Okay, what? Okay, I'll come. Okay. Not tonight. No, not tonight. You're exhausted. I'm exhausted. Maddie's asleep. Rosa's on my couch. Tonight we stay here. I'll sleep in the chair, or the floor, or wherever. You don't have to stay, Lena. I know. Stay. He stayed. She got up eventually and washed her face in the bathroom. She made them both tea. She sat on the couch, and he sat on the floor with his back against the couch, and they didn't talk much. At some point she fell asleep with her hand in his hair. He stayed still so he wouldn't wake her. His back killed him. He didn't care. In the morning she packed a small bag. Not her whole life. Just the things she needed for a week. She stood in the middle of her apartment and looked around and said, I thought I'd feel sad leaving. And he said, Are you? And she said, No, I feel like I can breathe. She came home with him. Maddie was at school. He made her coffee. He showed her the trundle in Maddie's room, which, as promised, had dinosaurs on the sheets, and she laughed for the first time in a week. A real laugh. The kind you could bank. At 3 o'clock, Maddie came home from school. She walked in the door and saw the coat on the hook that was not her father's coat. She went very still, the way she had that first day at Marjorie's. She looked at her dad. Her dad nodded. She ran down the hallway. She slammed into Lena's legs in the kitchen hard enough to almost knock her over. Are you staying? Maddie said, face pressed into Lena's stomach. Lena looked up at Ethan. Her eyes were wet. She put her hand on Maddie's head. For a little while, Lena said, if that's okay. It's okay, Maddie said. Dad, tell her it's okay. It's okay, monkey. Okay. Lena, you can use my trundle. You have to share Todd, but only at night. In the day, he's mine. Deal. And you're not allowed to cry in the bathroom. Lena choked. What? Dad said you might. I'm saying you're not allowed. Cry in the kitchen. Dad cries in the kitchen. It's the crying room. Ethan closed his eyes. He put his hand over his face. His daughter. Okay, monkey, he said. That's enough. It's just the rule. I got it. Go put your backpack away. Maddie let go of Lena, patted her on the hip with tremendous seriousness, and ran off down the hall, yelling something at Todd the giraffe. Lena looked at Ethan. Her eyes were bright. Her face was doing something he had never quite seen it do before. The crying room, she said. She's 7. Ethan. Yeah. This is going to be okay. Yeah, Lena. I think it is. She walked over to him. She put her hands on either side of his face. She looked at him for a long second, like she was seeing him, all the way down. Then she leaned in and she kissed him. It was not a dramatic kiss. It was a Tuesday kiss. It was the kiss of two tired people in a small, warm kitchen, with a kid yelling at a stuffed animal down the hall, and snow melting on the welcome mat, and a coffee pot on the counter that had stopped hissing about a minute ago. She pulled back. Her forehead rested against his. "I'm still going to lose things," she said. "I'm going to lose things for a while. You know that. I know. And I'm going to be hard to be around. I know. And I'm not fixed. I know, Lena. I know. Nobody's fixed." She smiled. A small, real smile. The kind you could build a life on if you were careful and patient and willing to keep showing up. Outside, the snow kept melting on the steps. Inside, she stayed. The snow on the welcome mat melted into a small, clean puddle, and then the puddle dried, and then another week went by, and then another. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, Lena stopped being a woman staying on a trundle and started being a woman who lived there. It did not happen fast. It did not happen pretty. The first week she cried in the kitchen twice, as predicted, and Maddie stood in the doorway both times with her arms crossed and said, "You're following the rule. I'm proud of you," in a voice that was meant to be reassuring and came out sounding exactly like a small tax inspector. The second week, Lena spent most of Monday in bed. The third week, she got up and cooked dinner for all three of them, which she burned, because she had never really learned how to cook anything more complicated than eggs, and Ethan ate the whole plate anyway, saying it was great, and Maddie looked at him with pity and ate a granola bar. The article did what articles do. Lived on the internet for a few weeks, loud and ugly. Then it got quieter. Then it mostly stopped. A new thing happened to a different woman, and the internet moved. The man in the charcoal suit opened his new company. It was supposed to be his big return. 3 months in, a former employee of his, a woman who had left his previous firm not long after Lena had, came forward with her own story. Then another. Then 5 more. None of them knew each other. They had all kept quiet for the same reasons women usually keep quiet. And they all, separately, had watched him rebuild himself on the back of a lie about Lena, and something in each of them had said, no. Not this time. Lena did not testify. She did not want to. She had been asked, and she had said no. And the lawyer who called her had been kind about it and said she understood. Lena's name came up in a couple of pieces later as context. A footnote, more than anything. The early version. The one he'd tested the lie on first. She read one of those pieces sitting on the couch with a blanket over her knees. And when she was done, she closed the laptop and set it on the coffee table and looked at Ethan, who was at the kitchen table fixing a broken drawer pull. "He's done," she said. "Yeah? I mean, not jail done. Not that kind of done, but like, nobody's calling him a visionary anymore." "Good." "I don't feel what I thought I'd feel." He looked up from the drawer pull. "What did you think you'd feel?" "I don't know. Vindicated, triumphant, something with a capital letter." "What do you feel instead?" She thought about it. She thought about it for a long time. "Tired," she said, "and kind of sad. And relieved. In about that order." "Yeah. That's a weird thing to be, right? Sad?" "I don't think so. It's like, I wanted him to be stopped. I wanted that so bad. And now he is, or he's going to be. And I just keep thinking about the other women, the ones I didn't know about. I keep thinking if I had said something earlier, maybe some of them, Lena, I know. You couldn't have. You were barely surviving. I know. You don't owe them anything you didn't have to give. You didn't owe yourself anything you didn't have to give. You got through. That's the whole job." She nodded. She pulled the blanket tighter. "I keep waiting to feel fixed," she said. "Yeah, well, don't hold your breath." She laughed, a small, real laugh, and got up and walked over to the kitchen table and stood behind him and put her hands on his shoulders. He kept working on the drawer pull. She watched his hands. "You're a good man, Ethan Brooks. I'm a tired man. Those aren't mutually exclusive." "No, I guess not." A lot of the rest of it was not dramatic. A lot of the rest of it was just days. Lena made coffee in the mornings. She walked Maddie to the bus stop 3 days a week because Ethan's shift started early, and on the way she listened to Maddie talk about a boy in class named Jordan who had put a bug in his own ear on purpose, and a girl named Priya who had a new backpack with sequins on it, and a teacher who had told Maddie her handwriting was creative, which Maddie had interpreted as a compliment, and which Ethan and Lena had decided not to correct. Lena looked for work. She did not look for the kind of work she used to do. She did not want it. She applied to places where the pay was modest and the mission was small, and the worst thing that could happen to her was she'd have to learn a new computer system. A nonprofit that helped people with housing paperwork took her on part-time in February. The director, a woman named Marisol with short gray hair and bifocals on a chain, had read the article about Lena and called her in anyway. "I read it," Marisol said on her first day. "I don't care. I needed somebody who could write, and you can write. The rest is not my business. Don't screw it up." "I won't. Don't promise me things, just do your work." Lena did her work. She was good at it. She learned, in the way people only learn by doing, that the skills she had spent a decade sharpening on shampoo campaigns and soda Christmases were not useless. They were the same skills, it turned out, that helped an exhausted single mother understand a form, or moved a city council member to answer a letter, or got a landlord to return a phone call. It was just that the story she was telling was a different story. It was a smaller story. It was somebody's. She took a pay cut that would have made her 26-year-old self weep. She took the job anyway. On the first payday, she drove by her old neighborhood once. She did not get out. She just drove past the building where her apartment had been, which had been rented to somebody else a long time ago. And she did not cry, and she did not feel triumphant, and she did not feel anything particularly clean at all. She felt like a person driving a car past a building. That was all. She drove home. Home was the little duplex on Maple. Home had a welcome mat that had seen better days, and a front door that stuck in humid weather, and a kitchen where a 7-year-old kept a running list of rules on the fridge, including no crying in the bathroom, which had become something between an inside joke and a family policy. Home had Ethan. About Ethan. In that same long, slow winter, something shifted for him too. He did not wake up one morning and decide to change his life. That was not who he was. Men like Ethan did not wake up one morning and do anything. What he did was, one Tuesday in January, when Lena was at her new job and Maddie was at school, and he had an unexpected day off because the warehouse boiler had died and they'd sent everyone home, he sat in his kitchen with a cup of coffee, and he looked around his house, really looked, and he thought about what would happen if he didn't change anything. Ever. He thought about himself at 40, at 50, still at the warehouse, still coming home too tired, still with the same aching back and the same almost broken truck and the same shirts washed too many times. He did not dislike his job. He did not think himself above it. He had good people there. Dave was a friend. Rick, even Rick, whose calling in sick had once stranded him on a bridge at midnight and changed his whole life, was a friend. He did not feel superior. He just felt, for the first time in a decade, a kind of small, honest ache that he had been ignoring. He wanted to do something else, not something better. Something else. Something he had thought about when he was 20 and then put away, the way a lot of men put things away, in a drawer and then tried to forget which drawer. When Lena came home that night, he said, "Can we talk?" Did Maddie do something? No, Maddie's fine. She's in her room reenacting something for Todd. I need to talk to you. Oh, God. She sat down. What? I think I want to go back to school. Oh. Not like a whole degree, like a program. There's a thing at the community college, a trade thing, emergency medical technician. I've been looking at it for a couple of weeks. EMT. Yeah. She looked at him. Is this because of your brother? He did not answer right away. He turned his coffee cup in his hands. Maybe, he said. A little. I don't know. I've been thinking about it for a long time, longer than I thought. I think I put it away. I think when Danny died, I told myself I had no business in that kind of work because I couldn't even save my brother. But that's not... He stopped. That's not actually true. That's just a thing I told myself. And I've been telling it for a long time, and I'm tired of telling it. Ethan, it's going to mean less money for a while. The program is a year. I'd have to keep the warehouse job part-time and do nights, or I'd have to cut back. We'd be tight. We're tight now. Yeah. Do it. You don't want to think about it. No. Lena. Ethan. Do it. Do the thing. You carried a woman off a bridge last spring. I know a little about this. You have a gift for showing up for people when they are at the worst minute of their lives. Don't waste it in a warehouse. I'll work more. I'll get a second part-time. Maddie and I will eat pasta for a year. Do the thing." He looked at her across the kitchen table. His eyes did something that he didn't like, so he looked down at his coffee. "Okay," he said. "Okay. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just do it." So he did it. He enrolled for the spring semester. He started classes at night. He kept the warehouse job at 30 hours instead of 40. Money got tight. They did eat a lot of pasta. Mrs. Alvarez, who had been watching Maddie 3 nights a week for years and had refused a raise for the last 2 of them, accepted a raise when Lena insisted, and then turned around and used the extra money to buy Maddie a coat that she had seen Maddie admiring in a store window. The coat was purple. It had a fur-lined hood. Maddie cried when she got it, which was something she did not often do, and Mrs. Alvarez pretended to be bothered by the crying and was not. Ethan was bad at school at first. He had forgotten how to study. He had not taken a test in 15 years. He got a C on his first anatomy quiz and came home furious at himself. Lena sat at the kitchen table with him for an hour, quizzing him on the bones of the hand, laughing at his wrong answers, making him try again. By the end of it, he was not furious anymore. By the end of the semester, he had a B+. By the end of the program, a year later, he had graduated, and he had a patch that said his name on it, and he stood in a parking lot in a uniform that fit him right for the first time in years. And he looked, when Lena saw him, like a man who had shown up somewhere he was supposed to be. Maddie saluted him. "Daddy, you look official." "I feel official." "Can you drive the ambulance?" "Yeah, monkey, I'm allowed." "Can I drive the ambulance?" "No." "Never?" "Not until you're like 20. "Okay." She ran off to tell Todd, the giraffe, the news. Lena walked up to him in the parking lot. She put her hands on his chest. She looked at the little patch with his name on it. "Look at you," she said. "Look at me." "Are you happy?" He thought about it. "I'm tired," he said. She laughed. "You're always tired." "Yeah, but it's a different tired. I'm not sure how to describe it." "I know the tired you mean." "Yeah?" "Yeah." He kissed her, in the parking lot, in the uniform, in front of the sun coming down over the dumpsters behind the community college. It was not a dramatic kiss. It was a Tuesday kiss again. It was becoming their kind of kiss. The year they went through together was not smooth. There were bad weeks. There was a week in March when Lena's old depression came back for a visit, the way it did, unannounced, and she spent most of a Saturday on the bathroom floor, and Ethan sat on the bathroom floor with her, and Maddie brought them both grilled cheese and slid it under the door because she had decided she was going to be funny about it, so that nobody would feel embarrassed, and Lena had laughed so hard she cried, and then cried for real. And Ethan had held her while she did, and Maddie had eventually crawled into the bathroom with them, grilled cheese in hand, and all 3 of them had sat on the linoleum eating dinner like people who had given up on dining rooms forever. Maddie said through a mouthful, "This is a weird family." Ethan said, "I know, monkey." "I like it, though." "Yeah, me too." That same spring, Lena got a call from a woman she had never met. The woman said her name, which Lena recognized from the news. She was one of the other women, the ones who had come forward. She had gotten Lena's number from the lawyer, whom she had had to ask 3 times before the lawyer gave in, because Lena had been clear she did not want to be contacted. The woman apologized for calling, said she understood if Lena hung up, said she just wanted one time to say thank you. "I didn't do anything," Lena said. "You did," the woman said. "You went first. You were first. And he did it to you, and you survived it. I didn't know your name when I went to the lawyer, but later, when I read about you, I thought, she did this first, and she's still alive, and so I can be alive too." Lena did not know what to say. She was sitting on the front steps of the duplex with the phone pressed to her ear. It was April. There were green buds on the maple tree in the front yard, the one the duplex was named for, probably. A truck went by in the street. "I don't know what to say to that," she said. "You don't have to say anything." "I'm glad you called." "Me too." "Okay, that's all. Take care of yourself, Lena." "You too." She hung up. She sat on the steps for a long time. Ethan came out and sat next to her. He did not ask. He had learned not to ask. She would tell him when she told him. "That was one of them," she said eventually. "Okay." She wanted to thank me. Okay? I don't know what to do with that. You don't have to do anything with it. Ethan, I spent 8 months thinking I was the worst thing that had ever happened. I thought I was the reason he got away with it. I thought if I had been smarter, tougher, more, I don't know, I thought it was my fault. I know you did. And now this woman is on the phone telling me she's alive because I was. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. She leaned against him. He put his arm around her. The maple tree did its thing. A dog barked 2 houses down. A girl across the street yelled at her brother about something involving a scooter. I think I need to take a minute, Lena said. Take a minute. She did. Months went by. She turned 29, then 30. She kept her job at Marisol's nonprofit. She got promoted. The promotion was small, and the raise was smaller, and she took it anyway. One of the things she did now was run a workshop twice a month for women who had been through work situations that had ended the way hers had. Not the famous kind, the regular kind. The kind that did not make the trade magazines. The kind that just ground people into dust and then let them walk away, quietly, with a severance check and a non-disclosure agreement, and a year of not being able to find another job. Lena sat with those women. She did not have a script. She did not have a plan. She had tea and chairs arranged in a rough circle, and her own story, which she told only sometimes, and only when it would help. Mostly, she listened. Mostly, she said, yeah, that happened. That was real. You're not crazy. You're here. Women who came to those workshops told Marisol afterward that Lena had changed their lives. Lena did not believe them when they said it. Lena did not believe them when Marisol told her either. Lena had a hard time with it. She had a hard time with a lot of things. But the workshops kept happening, and women kept coming, and slowly, the story Lena told herself about herself started to have new pages in it. Pages that were not about a man in a charcoal suit. Pages that were about a woman in a folding chair, with tea going cold in a cup, listening hard. In the fall, Maddie turned 8. She had a party at the roller rink. She invited 23 kids. 21 came. She was dressed as a scientist because that was her current ambition, and she had insisted on wearing a lab coat over her party dress, which had caused a logistical disagreement with Lena that ended in a compromise involving a Sharpie-drawn lab patch on the lapel of the dress itself. At some point during the party, in the middle of the chaos, Lena stood against the wall holding a paper plate with a slice of pizza on it and watched Maddie skate in slow, terrified circles, holding on to Mrs. Alvarez's hand, and she thought, I am going to remember this. I am going to remember that I was here. Ethan came up next to her. He had been carrying presents out to the truck. He had pizza sauce on his shirt. Hey, hey, she's having a good time. She's terrified. That's what a good time looks like at 8. Fair. They stood there for a minute. Lena? Yeah. I want to ask you something. Okay? I'm not going to do it in front of 23 kids. Thank you. I'm going to do it later, tonight, at home. I just want you to know I'm going to. She looked at him. Ethan, yeah. You can't tell people you're going to do a thing. You have to just do the thing. I know, I'm bad at it. I've been sitting on it for 2 months, and I figured if I told you I was going to, I'd actually have to do it. What if I said no? Then I'd be really sad. You're terrible at this. I know. She started laughing. She was still holding the paper plate. A kid went skating past screaming a song about being a princess at a volume that defied physics. Ethan, ask me now. At the roller rink? Yes. Ask me now. With the pizza. I want it to be the pizza. I don't want it to be a candle on a table. I want it to be the pizza and the kids screaming and Mrs. Alvarez trying to keep your daughter off her face. Ask me now. I don't have the ring. I don't care about the ring. It's at home, in my sock drawer. Ask me now. We'll deal with the ring. He looked at her. He looked terrified. He looked like a man who had spent 12 hours at the warehouse and had taken a shower fast and had gotten pizza sauce on his shirt and was about to do the biggest thing he had ever done, and he was not ready, and he was going to do it anyway. Lena Carter. Yeah. Will you marry me? Yes. Really? Really? Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. They stood there, grinning at each other like idiots, and Maddie came flying across the rink, shrieking something about having seen and demanding to know what had just happened. And Lena said, "Your dad asked me to marry him, and I said yes." And Maddie said, "Finally," at a volume that made several parents look over, and Mrs. Alvarez, who had been eavesdropping the whole time, wiped her eyes with a napkin and pretended it was the cold air. It was a very stupid proposal. It was perfect. They got married in June. It was a small wedding. It was in the backyard of the duplex, which Ethan had bought, finally, the year before, when his boss at the fire department helped him with the paperwork, and his credit came back from the dead enough to qualify for a mortgage on half of a house he had been renting for 9 years. They had 15 people. Rosa made all the food. Dave gave a speech that was bad in all the ways men's speeches are bad, and good in the ways that mattered. Marisol came. So did 2 of the women from Lena's workshop, who were now friends, and who hugged Lena so hard at the end of the night that her shoulders were sore in the morning. Maddie wore a dress she had picked out at the thrift store that was 3 sizes too big and which she insisted was perfect, and which was, in the end, perfect. Lena did not cry at the wedding. She saved it. She cried in bed that night, after Maddie was asleep and Ethan was in the bathroom brushing his teeth, cried quietly into her pillow, not sadness, just the thing that happens when a person has been holding on for a long time and finally lets go of one fingernail at a time. Ethan came in and saw her crying and did not say anything. He just got in bed next to her and put his hand on her back. "I got you," he said. "I know. You don't have to keep doing it." "I know." She slept. The years that came after were not a movie. They were not a montage. They were just years. Ethan worked as a paramedic. Some of his shifts were bad. Some of them were very bad. He came home from a few of them silent and sat on the couch staring at nothing. And Lena had learned to let him, and also learned when to put a glass of water in front of him, and when to rub the back of his neck, and when to say, "Tell me." He did not always tell her. Sometimes he did. He had, unlike his brother, people to tell. Lena kept her job. She grew into it. She eventually took over a program Marisol had been running for 20 years. She was good at it. She was not famous at it. Nobody wrote articles about her. The workshops kept happening. Some of the women who had come through her workshops came back years later to help. The thing grew the way real things grow, slow and unglamorous, and in 1,000 directions at once. Maddie grew up. She stopped wanting to be a marine biologist, and then wanted to be one again, and then wanted to be a lawyer, and then wanted to be a writer. She got braces. She got them off. She got a boyfriend, in the 9th grade, who she broke up with because he had, in her phrasing, opinions about coffee that I cannot live with. She kept Todd the giraffe on her bed all through high school. She was tall. She was loud. She was kind to her friends and ruthless about homework and bad at sports. She was the whole time her father's daughter, and also the whole time her stepmother's daughter, though nobody in the house used that word very much. Lena was not Maddie's mother. Lena was Lena, which turned out to be enough. One night, when Maddie was 11, she came out of her room while Ethan and Lena were on the couch watching something stupid on TV. She had Todd the giraffe under her arm. She said, "I have a question." "Shoot," said Ethan. "Is Lena family?" Ethan looked at Lena. Lena looked at Ethan. Maddie said, "Because at school they made us draw our family, and I drew you, Dad, and I drew Lena, and I drew Rosa, and I drew Todd. And the teacher said I could only draw my family, and I said I did. And the teacher said Lena was your wife, and I said that means she's family. And the teacher said some people feel differently about that, and I said I don't, and I came home to ask if I was right." Neither of them said anything for a second. Lena put her hand over her mouth. "Yeah, monkey," Ethan said. "You're right, she's family." Maddie nodded, like this had been her suspicion all along, and she was pleased to have it confirmed. She turned to go back to her room. Then she stopped. She turned around. She walked over to the couch. She leaned down and she hugged Lena, one-armed, tight, the way kids hug when they are in a hurry to say a thing. "Okay, good," Maddie said into Lena's hair. "I told her." Then she took Todd back to her room. She shut the door. They could hear her faintly through the wall, starting a song. Lena did not cry. Right then. She saved it again. She had learned to save it. She sat on the couch with Ethan's arm around her and she watched the stupid show they had been watching. And after a while she got up and she walked to the kitchen and she stood at the sink and she put her face in her hands and she let herself cry there, in the crying room, according to the rule, which the 11-year-old author of the rule still enforced. Ethan came in a minute later. He did not ask. He put his arms around her from behind. He rested his chin on top of her head. You okay? Yeah. You're crying. I know. I'm following the rule. You're following the rule. She said I'm family. She did. I heard her. I know, Lena. She turned around in his arms. She put her forehead against his collarbone. She breathed, she breathed, she breathed. Ethan. Yeah. I was standing on a bridge. I know. That was me. That was me on that bridge. I keep forgetting. I know. How did I get here? You didn't jump. That's it? Yeah, Lena. That's it. That's the whole thing. You didn't jump. Then you ate pancakes. Then you did it again. Then you did it for a bunch of days. Then you did it for a bunch of years. That's all it ever was. You just kept not jumping. She laughed into his shirt. Her laugh was wet. Her laugh was a real laugh. She had laughs now, many of them, different kinds. That's the least poetic thing anybody ever said to me. I'm not a poet. I'm a guy who drives a truck. You don't drive a truck anymore. I'm a guy who drove a truck. Ethan. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For stopping. He did not answer right away. He held her a little tighter. He kissed the top of her head. Thank you for being there, he said. I needed somebody to stop for. She thought about that later when she was lying in bed, with Ethan asleep next to her and the house quiet around her. She thought about how nobody tells you, when you're at the bottom, that the person who saves you needs you too, that the rescue goes both ways, that the man on the bridge is not a hero, and you are not a charity. You are two people who crossed paths on a very bad night, and each of you had a piece of something the other one needed. And if either of you had been 5 minutes earlier or 5 minutes later, you would have missed each other entirely. She thought about how easy it would have been to miss. She thought about how close they had come, both of them. How close he had come to driving past. How close she had come to going over. How close the world had come to being a different world, one in which neither of them made it, one in which an 11-year-old named Maddie would have grown up in a house where nobody ever drew a fourth figure in the family picture, because there had never been one. She thought about all of it. Then she thought, because she had taught herself to, about the dishes that would need to be done in the morning, about the laundry, about Maddie's permission slip for the field trip on Thursday, about the workshop at the center on Saturday, and the woman named Deb who had come last week and said almost nothing and whom Lena wanted to check in on, about her life, her actual, small, ordinary, unrepeatable life. She had one. It had taken her a long time to believe she got to have one, but she had one. Outside the window, the maple tree rustled. A car went by in the street. A dog barked, somewhere. The house breathed around her, the way houses do at night, settling and unsettling, the wood remembering its shape. Lena closed her eyes. She was not standing at the edge of anything. She was home.